वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Hare Krishna. So we are continuing to hear from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 4, and today we will begin the discussions on the various other parts that is entitled by Krishna. What about the other parts? So that we will be discussing about that today. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-śāstra Swaminiti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So yesterday we heard about the Lord's glorious appearance, his activities both are divyam or transcendental, and one who knows about these glorious activities and his birth, he is not going to be bound anymore in this material world. Punar janma na vidyate, he is not going to be born here. Krishna is giving that assurance. And further we also yesterday heard what are all the stumbling blocks to take shelter of Krishna. Raga, Bhaya, Krodha, these are all our misconceptions which are keeping us away from Krishna. And we see from the past, we see in history, we see the examples of great personalities who have come across all these stumbling blocks. They have taken, by taking shelter of them, by seeing their example, we should get inspired and we should take up Krishna consciousness. Manmaya mam upashritaha bahavo jnana tapaso putamad bhavamagataha. We become purified by following their footsteps, and we will be able to raise our consciousness from being in a mundane platform to Krishna consciousness or to the transcendental platform. Madbhavam, that word is used in Srila Prabhupada, elaborately discusses how from the stage of beginning faith, Komal Shraddha, or from Shraddha, we from faith to love, we just direct towards the pure love of God. So that is what we heard. Now, having heard about the Lord's appearance and his activities which are transcendental, and also just by appreciating the Lord's supremacy and his benevolence to his devotees, one can progress and go back home, back to Godhead. So here a question is being raised, the acharyas are asking, so what about others who are not taking up this path, who are not in this path, so what is their situation? So that is the discussion for the day. So we will see today's verse, text 11. Ye yatamang prapadyante tangs tataiva bhajamyaham amavartmanu vartante Manushya partha sarvashah. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. So now a question is being raised as in the beginning as I spoke. Your dedicated devotees consider your birth and activities to be eternal, but others such as Jnanis surrendering to you for the purpose of perfecting Jnana or other goals do not consider your birth and activities to be eternal. So what is their position? So what about that path that they have taken? So that is a question raised. Then Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu also, he asks a question. I have to some degree understand that you are the Supreme Lord with attractive eternal birth and activities, and I have heard from scriptures that you, though the size of a thumb, are indeed the Lord without birth. Therefore you should have various forms and there must be various methods of worshipping you. So basically the question is, what about other paths? So many of them are having different paths. What is the situation? Now this verse could be totally misinterpreted, and they say that, you see, Krishna is saying all paths are Same. Everything is same. Jatomat tatopat. Everything is same. You worship the pretas, you worship the bhutas, you worship the devatas. Everything is Krishna's path. Everything is one. So let us not misunderstand this. Let's see what is actually Krishna is trying to say by this. Okay. Now, also when we say that, as the acharyas are pointing out, that what about the situation of the jnanis? What about the situation of the yogis? What about the situation of the karmis? What are they following? What about there are so many different religions, different other processes? What is the situation? So, what is our understanding? So here Srila Prabhupada is immediately in the purport begins to address all these things. We'll see. Everyone is searching for Krishna in the different aspects of his manifestations. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is partially realized in his impersonal Brahma-Jyoti effulgence and as the all-pervading Super Soul dwelling within everything, including the particles of atoms. But Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. Now, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out here that, yes, the Lord, the absolute truth is realized in three ways. Vadanti tat tattvavidas Tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. So there are three phases of realizing the absolute truth, and for the followers or for the aspirants in the path of self-realization, everyone has got different levels of realization according to the path that they take. So here Srila Prabhupada is making a point that his pure devotees can only see the Lord in the personal form as a person, and also the Lord reciprocates to them according to their desire. Okay, let's continue with the purport. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as the devotee wants him. One devotee may want Krishna as Supreme Master, another as his personal friend, another as his son, and still another as his lover. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally according to their intensities of love for him. So, ye yatamam prapadhyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. To the degree we surrender, to the degree we have our faith on the Lord, to that degree he reciprocates. It's very clear. Now, so here Srila Prabhupada is pointing out the various ways in which the Lord is responding. Someone acknowledges and submits himself to the Supreme Lord as a person and as a Bhakta Vatsala. They understand the glories of the Lord accordingly reciprocates. So someone his realization level is only up to Brahman, and he's satisfied in that. Okay, the Lord reciprocates accordingly. Okay, that's what you want. Okay, that's how I'm going to reciprocate to you. Someone is interested, we will see, as Srila Prabhupada will explain, but I'm just trying to give you an understanding. Someone is interested only in worshipping the demigods, and they are satisfied with the demigod worship, and then they get some phalam out of it. So that is where he is happy. So Krishna leaves him there. So this is the point here that is being made. Now for all these worshippers, now we are see. So someone, even they may worship apparently Vishnu, but their aim is to get some phalam out of the yajna that is being performed. Apart from that, they are not interested in anything else. Krishna leaves him there. So as we said, someone is interested in impersonal Brahman, Krishna leaves him there. So to the degree how much ever we want to come close to Krishna, to that degree Krishna comes forward. So that's the point here. Now Srila Prabhupada is further continuing. In the material world, the same reciprocations of feelings are there, and they are equally exchanged with the Lord with the different types of worshippers. The pure devotees, both here and in the transcendental abode, associate with him in person and are able to render personal service to the Lord, and thus derive transcendental bliss in his loving service. So this is, different people have different realizations, and many do not know that the Lord reciprocates. He loves his devotees. They don't have that realization. Some of them are in ignorance. Some of the people's knowledge about God is also not sufficient. So accordingly, they come forward in relationship with the Lord. Srila Prabhupada many times used to point out, as people of the particular faith, the Christians, they pray love of bread. Prabhupada say love of God or love of bread. So they just pray to God, please give me my daily bread. Okay, Lord is going to reciprocate. You want daily bread? That's where, and you are satisfied with that. So that's where the Lord is going to stop himself. So that Srila Prabhupada is pointing out that. Now we have to understand one very important principle while learning the shloka. Now there is religion which is there is a religion which is, if you don't understand the real purpose of religion, then the religion becomes mundane. So Chaitanya Charitamrita very nicely defines a person who is actually peaceful. The Chaitanya Charitamrita says Bhakti-kami, Siddhi-kami, and then Mukti-kami, Shakala Shanta it says. So all these three categories of people, Bhakti, who want some sense enjoyment, who wants some material benefit, so they are in anxiety actually, because they are always expecting what is it that I am going to get. Okay, so religion also, their following of religion is also for that purpose. Okay, now I have these desires, I will go and then offer my prayers to God, and God has to satisfy my desire. So this is where they are stuck there. So and Lord also reciprocates. So you want riches, you want beautiful women, you want followers, okay, that's what you want. You don't want me, okay, no problem. No, okay, I'll take it, no problem. So the Lord leaves it there. So Bhakti-kami, then Mukti-kami, he is very much interested in merging in the impersonal Brahman. Srila Prabhupada immediately, he is addressing that. So here he says, as for those who are impersonalists and who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of the living entity, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. Such impersonalists do not agree to accept the eternal blissful personality of Godhead. Consequently, they cannot relish the bliss of transcendental personal service to the Lord, having extinguished their individuality. So this is the whole point here, that what is the major problem with this merging, trying to merge with the Brahman or merge with God. You totally lose your opportunity to engage in the service of the Lord. The bliss that you get by engaging in the service of the Lord is lost. And they are okay with that, they are happy with that. So the Lord doesn't force them, he just leaves it there. So he says, some of them who are not firmly situated even in the impersonal existence return to this material field to exhibit their dormant desires for activities. They are not admitted into the spiritual planets, but they are given again a chance to act on the material planet. So this is what happens. So as a result of their impersonal merging, they are not satisfied there. As we heard, the jiva is always active to engage in some service. So because of the dissatisfaction, jiva comes to back to this material world, starts to engage in all kinds of social activities. So this is the problem of the impersonalist who wants to try to merge. Now Srila Prabhupada, again he addresses the fruity workers. So Bhakti-kami, these Bhakti-kamis are, here Srila Prabhupada is pointing out, for those who are fruity workers, the Lord awards the desired results of their prescribed duties as the Yajneshwara. This is what it is. They are just happy doing some yajna and they get some material benefit. They are fine with that. Okay, I am happy with that. So Srila Prabhupada is pointing out. In other words, this is the very important point in this purport. Please pay attention to it. In other words, everyone is dependent for success upon his mercy alone, and all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path. Now this is the point. Actually what it is, the Lord, without the mercy of the Lord, without the sanction of the Lord, even this much, somebody is getting material benefit from performing some yajna or worshipping some devata or worshipping some impersonal, everything, for any process the Lord has to give his mercy. So in that way the Lord is saying that they want me, but they are bewildered and they are looking for something else. They are satisfied in that. Actually I am only sanctioning that. If the Lord doesn't sanction, it is not going to happen. So it's not that somebody is now engaged in some kind of a process, and that process is the same process as the pure devotion or the process of Krishna consciousness. Because your goal is material goal. Your goal is not Krishna. Your goal is something else other than Krishna. So that is not proper. So that has to be understood very clearly. So those attempts, all those attempts, whatever a person is endeavoring, if the goal is not Krishna, If one may be on a lower level, he may be with material desires, but if he wants to purify his existence and he wants to serve Krishna, then that is a perfect path. But if he thinks that by taking any other path, pursuing any other path, and he thinks that everything is same, everything is one. That's not Krishna is trying to say here. So that's why this point is very important. Prabhupada is pointing out. Everyone is dependent for success upon his mercy alone, and all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path. So that's your level. That's how Hari Charana Jushas Taratamyam Cha Tesham. So the Prameya Ratnavali, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu points out that to the degree you are surrendered to the Lord, to that degree you are close to the Lord. There are 84 lakh species. 84 lakh species, everyone is stuck in different levels. So we are finding the gradations based on how much the jiva has come close to Krishna. That's how we find the gradation. Not based on one's financial status, bank status, his birth, his beauty. That's not how the gradation is seen. In the scriptures, the gradations is given based on the consciousness with which the jiva is now conditioned. Accordingly, how much is close to Krishna, how much is far away from Krishna. So that is seen. So now Srila Prabhupada concludes the purport by pointing out that whatever may be your situation, akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Whether one is without desire, akama, or sarva kama, one is full of desires, overflowing with material desires. Sarva akama, moksha kama, or he is already on the path of liberation, he is just interested in liberation. Tivrena bhakti yogena. So whatever may be one situation, everyone has to engage in the pure devotional service, then one will be able to please the Lord. So then that is the culmination of Krishna consciousness. So this is what the Krishna consciousness movement is offering for everyone. Whatever may be one's situation, wherever he is, try to recognize the supremacy of the Lord. Try to recognize that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. We are his eternal servants. And well, because of being conditioned in several lifetimes, we are having so many different kinds of material desires. Nevertheless, if we engage in the service of the Lord, we will be purified. So the Bhagavatam gives lucid examples. One famous example, immediately we can see the case of Dhruva Maharaj. Although his interest at the beginning was to attain a position that is greater than even Brahma, a planet even that is greater than even Brahma, but later he ended up with the pure desire to please Krishna. So he saw that desire that he had like broken glass. That's how he saw it. He felt that, instead of Apidivya Ratnam, instead of going for this great diamond of Krishna consciousness, I have just wasted my energy and time. I have just tried to acquire something like a broken glass. So that's how a person is elevated. So Srila Prabhupada concludes this purport that one has to take up to this path of Krishna consciousness. So in that way you will be elevated. We will further discuss when we just deal with this verse of what's that? What's that? 9th chapter, Krishna says that Bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhyajinopi mam. How does the verse begin? Yanti deva vrata devan pitrin yanti pitra vrata bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhyajinopi mam. So there also Krishna very clearly he explains the position of how all the paths are not the same path. That you take a path, that is going to be whatever the path is going to lead you, that's going to be the destination. So another point to be noted here in this particular verse is that also the Lord's merciful nature, the Lord being very merciful, specifically Srila Prabhupada also gives a hint here. He points out how the Lord is reciprocating according to the desires of his devotees. How the Lord, if somebody, there are different rasas. So according to different rasa, the Lord reciprocate with the devotee. There is a Shanta rasa, Dhasya rasa, then Sakya rasa, Vatsalya rasa, then Madhurya rasa. According to the desire of the devotees, the Lord reciprocates. That is also the Lord's merciful nature. And a devotee is satisfied in particular rasa, and the Lord reciprocates with him. And for him, for that particular devotee, that is his constitutional position, and he is fully satisfied in that. So we can see how the Lord is very merciful and how He is responding according to the desires of the devotees. Okay, here also Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu in his commentary also is pointing out that, but those jnanis who accept the eternal nature of my birth and activities, consider my deity form to be Sachidananda and surrender to me for perfection of their jnana. I liberate those jnanis since they desire the destruction of their gross and subtle bodies, and I give them the bliss of Brahman. I bestow upon them the desired result of their worship, the destruction of birth and death from ignorance. So there are, as Srila Prabhupada also pointed out, that if you are interested to merge in impersonal Brahman, then the Lord is arranging for that. Now also there is another point that Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu in his commentary is pointing out this is Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. He is pointing out that if someone is interested, we will see when we study the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, how Krishna says that the jnanis are dear to me. So what kind of jnanis? Those jnanis who actually accept the personal form of the Lord, they want to engage in His service. So He gives them entry into the abode of the Lord. So those who are purified after having acquired the knowledge and they have accepted the personal form of the Lord. So in every case, in all the situation, according to the degree to which the devotee has surrendered, the jiva has surrendered, the Lord reciprocates. So that is the main point. Okay. So now in text 12, now the question is being raised. So even after hearing about this great path of bhakti, why some of the people are interested in worshipping the devatas? So that is a question being raised. So this is what Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is questioning. Why others give up the path of bhakti even though it is coming directly from Krishna? So much we heard, all the glories and everything we heard, but still some of them are taken to the worship of the devatas. Why is it so? So now Krishna is answering this. Text 12. Kankshanta karmanam siddhi yajanta iha devataha shipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. Now this verse is somehow with some devotees, this is not so popular, but it's again in the series of verses that we see about worshipping the demigods. Usually in the 7th chapter we have the 3 or 4 verses which speaks about how the demigod worship is not proper, what is the position of the demigods, what is their position in the universal role, everything is discussed there. And also we also hear the 9th chapter verse where Krishna is explaining that Yajant Abhidhi Purvakam. He says that the worship of the demigods is not proper because it's not the method that I approve. Krishna is pointing out. Now apart from this verse also forms gives a very clear understanding of the position of the demigods and how people also, why they go for the worship of the demigods. Now, Srila Prabhupada in translation, he points out, men in this world desire success in fruitive activities and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in the world. So, now this is the point. Shipram, this word is being used here. Shipram, quickly. So, fast food. Everything, we want something fast, something quick, immediately we want some results. So this is that's how they go to the demigods. So they are interested in material enjoyment. They want to enjoy with the senses in this material world, and as a result, so they are going for worshipping the demigods. Now, this statement of in this shloka, there is a statement called Siddhir Bhavati Karmaja. I remember many years back, maybe some 10-15 years back, we were in Chennai. We arranged for a program in Chennai for Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti-śāstra Swami. It was in IIT. In IIT Chennai, they have their slogan or kind of the motto. The motto is Siddhir Bhavati Karmaja. So this idea is that Siddhir, you attain success, karmaja, by work. By work you can attain success. So this is the motto. So the point that they are trying to convey is, you come, give your life in IIT, gain the knowledge, equipped with all knowledge and technology, you work like anything and you attain success. So but that's not the message of Krishna is trying to say here. Krishna is trying to point out here that Yes, they do demigod worship, they engage in some yajna, they engage in some fruitive activities, and they get the result out of it, and they think that that is a success. So you see, this is the whole point in India, there are so many misconceptions in studying the Bhagavad Gita. You can interpret it in various ways according to your whims and fancies. So this is interpretation, I think this Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He also gives an interpretation of that, everyone knows, we were discussing that verse of how by Bhagavad Gita speaks about that work is worship, or you are by work, ultimately everything is work, by work you attain perfection, all these ideas. This is not the message of the Bhagavad Gita, so that also should be understood properly. So what is this Siddhi? So this Siddhi is speaking here very much referring to the fruitive activities that is being mentioned. That's why you see in India we have so many people in using the Bhagavad Gita, they come up with several misconceptions, or they promote several misconceptions. There is another person, they use the Bhagavad Gita and he said that Krishna is not a person at all, he's an imaginative figure, and they call him Mahatma. And then there is another person who they say that he is a great Pandit. What is this Pandit? What is this Panditwa? We do not know. He says that now the factories are the modern temples of India. They are the temples of India. All the factories, the industries, they are the temples of India. Such another foolish fellow who is the part of a great mission, Murki mission. He says that actually, why you have to spend time in studying Bhagavad Gita and all those things. Actually, you become strong. You do exercise, you play football, and then you become very strong. That is what is required. So another rascaldom. They just all misuse Bhagavad Gita and they give their own vested interest and vested ideas. They completely distract the minds of the innocent people. So it's so important that we need to hear this message in Parampara. We need to hear from those who really know what Krishna is trying to say. So we have to understand, we should not misunderstand the statements of the verses in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, let's continue what Srila Prabhupada has got to say here. Misconception of the demigod's position. Prabhupada immediately addresses what is the demigod's position, how they are subservient to the Lord needs to be understood. Prabhupada points out, actually the demigods are not different forms of God, but they are God's different parts and parcels. So this should be understood. If they are different forms of God, then actually what should have happened? First chapter Krishna should have dedicated to Ganesh, second chapter to Kartikeya, third chapter to Dakshinamurti, fourth chapter to Shanishwara, fifth chapter to, like that 18 chapters it's difficult to put the numbers. We have 33 crores of demigods, difficult to fit in. So every chapter should glorify one demigod, if that is the case. But that's not the case. Every chapter, every verse, it is showing the supremacy of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. If we hear this message in Parampara, if we hear from the bona fide devotees, then we understand Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is the goal of the Bhagavad Gita. Engaging in His service is the perfection of life. This is the conclusion we come to. Otherwise, we think that all the different demigods are different forms of the Lord. So that is a misunderstanding. Immediately Prabhupada is pointing out that. The Supreme God is one, Krishna. And he is the maintainer. He is actually the, immediately Prabhupada is pointing out, Nityo Nityanam, Ishvara Parama Krishna. The Supreme God is one Krishna. And the demigods are delegated with powers to manage this material world. So that is their service. They have been given different responsibilities, like we have in our country, we have different ministers who are responsible for certain departments. So like that, the demigods also have their position and power. So they cannot be equal to the Supreme God Narayana, Vishnu or Krishna. Anyone who thinks that God and the demigods are on the same level is called an atheist or Pashandi. Even the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva cannot be compared to the Supreme Lord. So immediately we can say Siva Virinchi Nutam. So the position of the demigods are understood. So they are not equal to the Supreme Lord. They are the servants of the Supreme Lord. All those demigods are taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. So we have to understand that. Okay. So now Srila Prabhupada is also pointing out how people are also worshipping the demigods, and also they worship some powerful men. Yet curiously enough, there are many human leaders who are worshipped by the foolish men under the misunderstanding of anthropomorphism or zoomorphism. Iha devataha denotes a powerful man or demigod of this material world. So now this is another problem that people misunderstand. They criticize sometimes that it's all imposition. Even when the Lord descends in various forms, just like in the last 2 days we were discussing, the Lord appears in the form of half man, half lion. He appears in the form of a boar. He appears in the form of a fish. So they say that it's all some imposed ideas. So that's what it is, of anthropomorphism and zoomorphism. And also, they criticize, how can someone be like Ganesh, who has a head of a lion, it's of an elephant. So all these things, they immediately they put on the side as mythology or some fairy tales and like that. So now also there is another point that is being discussed here is that people also, not only apart from the demigods, some powerful persons, politicians, or a big industrialist, or there may be, we can see in some village, someone who is a very rich person, he is God for them. So everything, he solves the problems, he gives money, he sorts out. So for him, he does not know anyone, he is the supreme personality for him. So Srila Prabhupada is pointing out. And Srila Prabhupada goes on, he further explains in this purport that Krishna's supremacy is acknowledged by all the great acharyas. So he goes on to say that even Sripad Shankaracharya, he acknowledges Narayano Paro Avyakta. So he points out that even Krishna is beyond the material creation. Now, further, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out the position of demigods. The demigods of this material world as well as their worshippers will vanish with the annihilation of this material world. Another point, not to worship the demigods. The demigods themselves, they have only a short time period. Their visa will be expired, so they have to leave the place, they have to leave the position. That could also happen. And along with the worshippers, so the person whom you are worshipping and the worshippers, they all have a time bound. It's going to be completed. So it's not intelligent to worship the demigods. The boons of the demigods are material and temporary. Both the material worlds and their inhabitants, including the demigods and their worshippers, are bubbles in the cosmic ocean. This is a good analogy. Prabhupada says that bubbles, how long it's going to last? It just goes away. So like that. So it's for a short span of time, their boon works and it is gone. Now we see so many examples of that. We can even just take the example of Ravana. Ravana was so much, he went and then was asking for help from Shiva. Shiva said that, sorry, I am not that person who can give you mukti. That is not possible. That only Krishna can give, only the Supreme Lord can give, and you are trying to fight against him. Nobody can help you. So it is not possible. So that's another point to be considered, and one should. So we should look at all these points and try to understand that worshipping demigods is not the intelligent. Alpa Medasam, Krishna further discusses in the 7th chapter that those who are men of small intelligence, they take to the worship of the demigods. So now Srila Prabhupada, he is again pointing out that how people become mad for sense gratification. There are always, sometimes they become worshippers of great sports stars. There are so many fans for great sports personalities or some musicians. So specifically in the West, we have so many different big rock stars. So they have fans in thousands. Even millions of people are fans. They go mad, and they for them the particular politician or the sports star or the musician is their god. So he points out that in this purport here. In this material world, however, human society is mad of temporary things such as the material opulence of possessing land, family and enjoyable paraphernalia. People worship the demigods or powerful men in human society. If a man gets some ministership in the government by worshipping a political leader, he considers that he has achieved a great boon. This is a nice point. He says that, sometimes we see, I remember one of my friend, he got to do medicine in one college in Tamil Nadu, medical college. He gave a heavy donation. He went through a minister, maybe he gave some 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs. So that's how he got into it. He is not so good in studies as well. I would never recommend someone to go and check for his health to that doctor. But he almost when this politician helped him, so much money they gave, they almost worship him. They every day they put flowers, they put garland to him. He is their worshipable Lord. So Prabhupada immediately, you see, nicely he's pointing out that there are many people who are like this. For them, some of these people become God. So he's saying that, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out that if a man gets some, all of them are therefore kowtowing to the so-called leaders or big guns in order to achieve temporary boons, and they indeed achieve such things. Yeah. So their material benefits are satisfied and they become their worshipable guru. So one of my friend in Bangalore, he is a ardent worshipper of one so-called Baba who has his roots near Madhya Pradesh, no, Maharashtra. Yeah. So they go for worship there. He became a devotee of that so-called Baba when he was in US, because he went to the US and then he saw there is a big temple they have constructed for him, and then he saw it, and then he went and then he prayed for. He was in some difficulty, so in that situation he prayed to that Baba, and then his problem got solved. And from that time, he is his worshipable Lord. He Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Ranganath, everything. Sorry to say this. That's how he spoke to me. That everything is this Baba for him, and he is everything. Controller, maintainer, destructor. Such a misunderstanding. And because some desire was satisfied, when he went and offered prayer, anyway, even if he had not prayed, that would have been satisfied. But then he became his ideal. He became his worshipper. So these all these things are misconceptions. So Prabhupada is pointing out further in this purport. He points out that ultimately people are foolish being in conditional state in trying to enjoy sense gratification. So one has to take up Krishna consciousness. Such foolish men are not interested in Krishna consciousness for the permanent solution to the hardships of material existence. They are after all, they are all after sense enjoyment, and to get a little facility for sense enjoyment, they are attracted to worship empowered living entities known as demigods. So this verse indicates that people are rarely interested in Krishna consciousness. They are mostly interested in material enjoyment, and therefore they worship some powerful living entity. So this is the problem. So they end up considering demigods or some humans who has some charisma or some power. They think themselves to be God. One of my friend, he so much. It's like every day, for devotees they read Bhagavad Gita. For him, every day he reads my experiments with truth. Who wrote that book. So what is there to experiment with the truth? There is nothing to experiment with the truth. Accept the truth as it is. What is there? You are doing some experiments there. So that's how it is. For him, he is the great Mahatma. He is the one who has revealed the true knowledge, and they completely get distracted. They don't hear what Krishna has got to say, what is the final conclusion of the scriptures. They don't understand, and they keep experimenting, and as a result of the experimenting, they keep speculating so many things, and they suffer in this material world. So Srila Prabhupada is finally pointing out that one has to raise from the level of being on the mundane platform, trying to enjoy materially. One should raise to the platform of Krishna consciousness. But why that does not happen? Because rarely someone is interested in Krishna consciousness. So that is the point here. Okay. Here Acharyas are pointing out that they say, indeed, the path of bhakti and jnana give liberation, but the path of karma leads to bondage. Therefore, there is some inequality in you, the creator of all paths to the Supreme Lord. That is not so at all. I have created the 4 varnas for people who want their own enjoyment. So now here the question is said, you see, karma and jnana, the path is there for even somebody is worshipping the demigods. See, he is getting bound. So maybe, Krishna, what is this? What you have done? So Krishna says, no. According to the different desires of the jivas, I am catering to their needs. Now Krishna is now pointing out that this whole 4 varnas and ashramas, I have actually created this for helping people who are in conditional state. They all have, because of the 3 modes, they are all conditioned in different ways, and to help them to come out of the conditioning, I have created a system by which they could purify their existence and come out of it. So I am not partial, I am trying to do justice and trying to help, Krishna is pointing out. Okay, now let's see this verse. Text 13. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashah tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. According to the 3 modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the 4 divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. So now this is the point here. Srila Bhagadev Vidyabhushan Prabhu is also pointing out that in two verses, this verse and the next verse, the Lord speaks of the cause of destroying the desire for enjoyment. Now, in the previous verse, Lord explained that yes, there are some people who are overflowing with no many material desires and they want quick results, so they go to the demigods. Yes, and also we can see in the scriptures there is so many different kinds of yajnas and so many, the karma kanda section is so much given in the scriptures because the people want material enjoyment, they don't want Krishna. Krishna is aware of it, so he has created a system by which this enjoying tendency could be curbed. It will be that enjoying tendency will be he will be purified from this enjoying tendency, and then he will come to the path of spiritual elevation. So that is why Krishna is speaking this verse. Now immediately there is another issue. Whenever we just speak about this verse, immediately people what they say, oh, you see, Bhagavad Gita is promoting caste system. See, what is this? You are speaking Krishna, he is merciful, and you see he is dividing people, he is unequal. If you just peacefully sit and then try to analyze what Krishna is trying to say, this system that is there in this world, it is actually born out of our own gunas. Everyone, we are all conditioned by different modes. We are all having different moods, different knowledge, different interests, different abilities. Every one of us are pushed by certain qualities, and accordingly we tend to do certain activities. So, and we can see these divisions throughout this universe. Everywhere you can see people with different modes, different interests. So some of them are intellectually disposed, some of them they have the power, they are ready to offer help, protection to people. Some of them are very intelligent in cultivating the land, they are also very smart in doing business, they know the trick, they have the skills for that, naturally the skills are there. And some of them are very simple and they just work and try to lead their life by simple work. So this system is, we can see this in the entire globe, that there are people in different faiths, in different situations. We can always see this classification among the people. So it's not something artificially that is imposed. According to our gunas, this system is in place by Supreme Lord. So now let's see what Srila Prabhupada is pointing out. The Lord is the creator of everything. Everything is born of Him. Everything is sustained by Him, and everything after annihilation rests in Him. He is therefore the creator of the four divisions of the social order, beginning with the intelligent class of men, technically called Brahmanas, due to their being situated in the mode of goodness. Next is the administrative class, technically called the Kshatriyas, due to their being situated in the mode of passion. The mercantile men, called the Vaishyas, are situated in the mixed modes of passion and ignorance. And the Shudras, or laborer class, are situated in the ignorant mode of material nature. In spite of His creating the four divisions of human society, Lord Krishna does not belong to any of these divisions because He is not one of the conditioned souls, a section of whom form human society. Okay, so now these four divisions are there in the society. Now, according to the propensity and the inclinations a person has got, so a person is engaged accordingly and gradually is purified. So that is the idea of these four divisional systems. So it's not that Srila Prabhupada gives an example how we have the head, we have the shoulders, we have the stomach, we have the legs. So all the four are important for the human being to function. So if either of the parts of the body is going to be rebellious and if they are going to claim their supremacy, then there is going to be a chaotic situation. So all the parts of the body, they have to serve the stomach, isn't it? So then naturally all other parts get the strength. So similarly, so all these divisions are there in the society, but these divisions are meant to gradually elevate ourselves to understand the supreme goal of life and to surrender to the Supreme Lord. So whatever may be one situation in that situation he tries to get purified. Now another thing to be understood that in Kali Yuga, also we can see it is to be understood that Kalau Shudra Shambhavaha. Everyone in this Kali Yuga, hardly we could see intelligence, hardly we could see people with great traits that they had in the previous yugas. That's why we can see as the yugas progressed, we could see the intelligence, the capacity in men, everything also gradually diminished, gradually reduced. So what even in this Kali Yuga, in this situation also, we could see these divisions, and by acting according to our nature, we can gradually purify our existence. So this is the whole idea. Now Srila Prabhupada is in this particular purport is pointing out that what is the activity of a Brahmana and what is the position of a Vaishnava. That is also he is addressing here. Okay. A person in Krishna consciousness, okay, according to the different modes of material nature are described in the 18th chapter of this book. So here Srila Prabhupada is pointing out that so what are the different modes, what are the different activities that he performs, or what are the activities of the Brahmanas, what are how Brahmanas are fixed in knowledge, they are honest, they are straightforward, they are followers of the religion, they are peaceful. So all these traits are given about the Brahmanas. Then how Kshatriyas are meant to give protection, how they have this Ishvara Bhav, that is mentioned in the scriptures in the 18th chapter. The discussion is there about the definitions of Brahmana, definition of a Kshatriya, and definition of a Vaishya, who is Go Rakshya Vanijyam. So he is interested in protecting the cows, in cultivating the land, and also is engaged in business in accordance to the principles of Dharma is engaged in, and also the Shudras who are honest workers who work on the instruction of the above three Varnas. So that is being mentioned. So Srila Prabhupada here is pointing out a person in Krishna consciousness, however, is above even the Brahmanas. Although Brahmanas by quality are supposed to know about Brahman, the supreme absolute truth, most of them approach only the impersonal Brahman manifestation of Lord Krishna. But a man who transcends the limited knowledge of a Brahmana and reaches the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, becomes a person in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, a Vaishnava. So that means what? A Vaishnava is already a Brahmana because he has all the qualities of a Brahmana. All the Shamodhamas, Tapas, Shaucham, Shanti, Arjavam, Evacha, all these qualities is developed by practicing Krishna consciousness. So, Yasyasti Bhaktir Bhagavatya Kinchana, Sarvai Gunai Tatra Samasate Sura, Harava Bhaktasya Kuto Mahadguna, Manoratena Sati Dhavato Bahi. Because of his much Sharanagati, because of his surrendering, having surrendered his life in Krishna's service, he develops all the saintly qualities. So here Srila Prabhupada is pointing out that the Brahmanas, some of the Brahmanas, maybe they are well versed with scriptures, they study the scriptures, but they don't acknowledge Krishna's supremacy. They don't accept that Krishna is a supreme person. He has a name, he has a form, but rather they are stuck with the impersonal realization. So here Srila Prabhupada is pointing out that a devotee is very clear about Krishna's position and how he is related with Krishna as the eternal servant. So that is the difference between a Brahmana and a Vaishnava. So here that is being pointed out. Okay, now in the second part of the verse, Krishna is pointing out that Tasya kartaram apiman vidya kartaram avyayam. So, but although I have created these four divisions, but I am not part of these four divisions. I am beyond these four divisions. So, Srila Prabhupada is concluding this purport. Krishna consciousness includes knowledge of all different plenary expansions of Krishna, namely Rama, Nrsimha, Varaha, etc. And as Krishna is transcendental to the system of the four divisions of human society, a person in Krishna consciousness is also transcendental to all divisions of human society, whether we consider the divisions of community, nation, or species. So, this has to be understood also. So, these Varnas and Ashramas are meant to, it's like it's helping us to come to a real constitutional position of eternal servant of the Lord. So a devotee is not stuck on the platform of different Varnas and Ashramas. He knows this is very congenial atmosphere for me to develop Krishna consciousness. So he acknowledges the different kinds of material desires he is into, and by this taking shelter of his Varna and Ashrama under the bona fide guidance of a devotee, he practices Krishna consciousness. So by that he makes progress. Now another thing to be understood here, Krishna also, he acted, when he was in Vrindavan, he acted like a Vaishya, and when he came to Dwaraka, he took the role of a Kshatriya. You know, he was there, right there in the war. Krishna is fighting. And but Krishna, what he is pointing out, he's saying that I am not part of, although I created this system, I am not part of this varnas or ashrama, I am beyond that. Now Krishna is going to further acknowledge that in the next verse. What is his position? How he is transcendental. And in this verse, Prabhupada is giving a hint how a Vaishnava is beyond this varna and ashrama. And when one understands also how Krishna is beyond this karmic effects and how he is beyond the varna and ashrama, then he is no more bound in this material world. Krishna is going to speak that. Okay, we will see some quotes from Srila Prabhupada's lecture. Okay, here is one. Here is Mr. Goldsmith, a qualified lawyer. Although he is a lawyer, his son cannot claim to be a lawyer. The son must qualify by passing the Bachelor of Law examination, and then he can be a lawyer. Similarly, Krishna tells us that the Indian caste system is not hereditary. In Vedic literature, it is according to the quality of the individual. In human society, everyone thinks that he is better than everyone else. In his own reckoning, he thinks he is the best. Lord Krishna is not concerned with such ideas. Dasa Chakre Bhagavan Bhuta. There was a Brahmana called Bhagavan and he had 10 enemies. They sat down in 10 places and wherever he was passing they said, "Oh, you have become a ghost." And he replied, "I am alive. How I have become a ghost?" This continues with these 10 enemies and he begins to think, I might be a ghost. Otherwise, why are people saying I have become a ghost? So, Dasa Chakre Bhagavan Bhuta. So if everyone says I am low-born, should I also think I am low-born? But I am not low-born. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahmasmi. In fact, I am a spirit soul. I am born of Krishna. Krishna is my father and I am twice born. Krishna says, Mam hi partha vipashrutya. Anyone who takes shelter of me, regardless of his perceived material status, can come to live in my kingdom. Tepi anti paramgatim. So it is our duty to become twice born by Krishna consciousness and take another birth. Then we will be recognized as Brahmanas. Brahma Janati. As soon as we know Krishna, we are Brahmanas, whether born in America or Czechoslovakia or any other place. So try to become Brahmanas. Now, another point for us to understand. Now there is a big commotion in our state that that allow everyone to become Archakas. No, so in our movement, we are giving the opportunity to everyone, but become qualified. What is the qualification you are having? So Prabhupada in this lecture is addressing that just because your father is a Brahmana, you cannot become a Brahmana. Well, sir, in Vachar, you can buy by giving 2 rupees, 3 rupees. You can go to Srirangam and buy one Upavita and then you can wear it and then you can call yourself to be Brahmana. But do we have the qualities? Krishna says this division is based on not on Janma Karma. He says that Guna Karma. What are your qualities? Are you following these qualities that is there in the scriptures? So it may be, you may be born in a Brahmana family, but you may have the traits, you may have all the favorable conditions to become Brahmana, but unless one follows the required rules and regulations of becoming a Brahmana, you cannot claim yourself to be a Brahmana. So that should be very clearly understood. So that is our standpoint. Our standpoint is that now Srila Prabhupada sometimes Srila Prabhupada is being criticized by so-called Goswamis and some of the Pandits in Vrindavan that Srila Prabhupada allowed the Westerners who are in the Western bodies to how they cannot become Brahmanas. But Srila Prabhupada, he allowed, not just whimsically, he made them into Brahmanas. They were all initiated in a bona fide way and the scriptures acknowledge it. The scriptures glorify it. When someone comes in touch with this Krishna consciousness process, he chants the holy name of the Lord, follows the 4 regulative principles and exhibits the quality of the Brahmanas. Why not he be initiated? Why not be initiated into the Brahminical status? So it is a bona fide process by which what Srila Prabhupada followed, and Krishna is very much, he is clearly in this verse is acknowledging that it is based on guna and karma. So one develops a quality, so then he can exhibit, he can be a Brahmana. And also we can see Srila Prabhupada's move of, he says that the society needs many Brahmanas. Why? Because we can see there is an emergency situation now. Everywhere there is a chaotic situation. Hardly you can find any man of sanity. Everywhere right royally all kinds of sinful activities are going on. Slaughter is going on, prostitution is going on, gambling is going on. Whole society is in a mess, and it is a great move of Acharya who took great risk. He traveled all the way to the Western country in that elder age, and he created great revolution. He saved the lives of so many people, and for all that he has done, the so-called brahmanas who are just with a very blinded vision, they cannot see what is the conclusion of the scriptures. So Srila Prabhupada was perfect. He was right in performing his activity, and the entire scriptures are supporting it. So that has to be understood. So that is the point being made here, and there are several more quotes I have. Okay, here is what here is one quote that I would like to read, setting Srila Prabhupada's mood. Lord Chaitanya and Krishna himself both say the same thing. To them, birth is not consideration. Nobody is responsible for his own birth. If I want to enter into the kingdom of Krishna, if we want to be Krishna conscious, there is no impediment. It is open for everyone. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam. The opportunity is there for each of us to become a Brahmana, to become a great devotee of Lord Krishna, and to become the spiritual master of the world. I think you should take this seriously. I am an old man, and if some of you at least would understand and take up this science, you would really benefit this country and the world. That is my request to you, that you take this opportunity and become a spiritual master for all the people. So Srila Prabhupada is urging devotees that take up this message and distribute this Krishna consciousness. So this is a very powerful message that we see that how in the material world people are completely misunderstanding. Everything they see it as a status. So that kind of an idea should not come into the practicing devotees as well. No, I want to become a Brahmana is status. What it is again? Then it becomes a skin disease. Brahmana is not some post. Brahmana is actually, these are all the very highly saintly qualities, and by those qualities we exhibit purity, and we set example for others so that they could also take up this pure process. So that has to be understood. So not, and if just by chanting the holy names of the Lord sincerely, one becomes by becoming a Vaishnava, in itself he becomes a Brahmana. Okay, and also we see that the Brahmanical initiation is given sometimes for the worship of the deities, for cooking for the deities. So that is also there. So a person is expected to follow the standards that is given. So it is not for some post or no, I have spent some 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Now I directly become qualified. It is not like that. So it is for a higher purpose. And basically we can see that a devotee, and who acknowledges it, the Guru knows what is one's position, what are his traits, what are his qualities, and accordingly he is being engaged. So we should understand the system that what Krishna has given. It is not something whimsically that is given, and if we follow the natural system Krishna has given, then it becomes very easy and we can make steady progress in Krishna consciousness. So if we artificially, so there are two things we have to be understood. One is Varnashrama principles are there, and if we think that these are all just external principles, just I will chant the holy names and I will attain perfection, then are we in the stage of Namacharya Haridas Thakur? Do we have such a rati for holy name? 24 hours absorbed in chanting the holy names of Krishna, no interest whatsoever for anything else. If we are in that state, yes, we can take Babaji Vesh, no problem, nobody is stopping us. But if we are not, better follow what the Acharya is. Our current Acharya, what he has given. Srila Prabhupada has instituted this system of accepting the bona fide Acharyas, following the rules and regulations, and gradually raising ourselves. And so we should not be super intelligent and try to do something artificial, and then we will end up in miserable fall down. And already we have seen in history these things have happened. So we need to be cautious and take up what Krishna is advising us. Okay, now text 14. Namam karmani limpanti name karma paleshpruha iti mam yo bijanati karma bhir nasabhadyate. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. So this is one should clearly understand the position of the Supreme Lord and how he is not bound by karma, how he is not bound by the effects of the karma, and for one who knows that about the Lord's position in this way, he is also not bound. So that's what Krishna is pointing out here. Okay. As there are constitutional laws in the material world stating that the king can do no wrong, or that the king is not subject to the state laws, similarly, the Lord, although He is the creator of this material world, is not affected by the activities of the material world. Now, this has to be understood. The Supreme Lord, He has given the process of how to act in this material world, He is given the different systems, but He Himself is not bound by the system. So immediately the analogy of king who is not subjected to the state laws, that is being given here by Srila Prabhupada. And then another example Srila Prabhupada gives in this purport: the proprietor of an establishment is not responsible for the right and wrong activities of the workers, but the workers are themselves responsible. So now there is a proprietor, so he has given different laws. So, and he is not imposing anything on the workers, but if the workers, due to their various interests and various understandings, if they engage in some activities, they become responsible. So that is the point being made by Prabhupada here. Now there is a key point we need to understand: why the Lord is not bound by any reaction. What is the reason for that? The reason is that the Lord He does not aspire to enjoy anything in this material world. No aspiration to enjoy, so no reaction. Absolutely no reaction. So that's why He is not bound in this material world. So that is our whole point to be understood from this verse. So whenever we have this tendency to enjoy something, then we become bound. So we can see in the Upanishads also, in Gopal Tapani Upanishad, there is an example given, and many of you may know this. When the gopis wanted to, they were waiting for Lord Krishna to come. It was in the middle of the night, so they were pointing out, "Why you are late, my dear Lord?" So then Krishna said that, "No, on the way I saw Durvasa Muni, and then I had some discussion with him. I was speaking with him." So the gopis felt that, "Oh, we also want to take shelter of him. We also want to serve him and then get his mercy." So then Krishna said that. Then they asked, "So can we go and meet him?" So he said, "Yes, you can go, but in the middle of the night, how do we cross? The Yamuna is there." So they said that, "Okay, no problem. You go in front of the Yamuna and go and say that in the name of Krishna, who is the greatest of the brahmacharis, we want to cross." So you just offer a prayer like this, you will be able to cross. So the Yamuna, when they came in front of the Yamuna, they offered a prayer like this. The Yamuna gave way, and then they crossed. They went to Durvasa Muni, and then so there they went. They wanted to cook for Durvasa Muni. So everyone, so many gopis were there. Everybody wanted to make some palatable preparation and please Durvasa Muni and get his advice and blessings, so that they could serve the Lord in a very nice way. So that was their intention. So they all cooked preparations. They all made nice preparations. And Durvasa, that means that one who takes pleasure only in eating grass. Dhruva, this grass is there. So they were wondering. So they did not want to stand in line. They were all rushing. No, I want, because we do not know what is going to, whether he will take or he will not take. So the Durvasa says that, "Don't worry, I will take everything. No need to bother. And whatever they cooked, I will take." So he ate everything, whatever they cooked, and to his full capacity, and he relished everything, and then he said that he gave blessings. So then they asked, "So how do we go back?" So then Durvasa said that you go in front of Yamuna, and then you tell that in the name of Durvasa, who relishes only eating grass. So I will, and then you just offer a prayer like this, Yamuna will give you way, and then you will cross. They thought, right now we cooked so many palatable items, and Durvasa also relished everything, and how do we, okay, so they just offered the prayer and they came back to Krishna. They came back to Krishna and they asked the question to Krishna, "What is this, my dear Lord? How do we understand? You said you are the greatest of the brahmacharis, you are dancing with us in the middle of the night, and Durvasa, he says that he only eats grass, but he took all the preparations." Then Krishna said that, "You see, this is the point. The point is that just to please you, actually Durvasa took. Otherwise, he is not interested. He is satisfied with simple grass. Similarly, to please you, I am here. It's not that I can be satisfied only if you are there. Even that's why you see in the middle of the Rasa Leela, Krishna left. Krishna is Atma Rama, Aptakama. These are the names of the Lord. So he is not bound by anything. He is beyond all reactions. So that has to be understood. So that is the point. So we can see here, Krishna is, that's why he is pointing out that Namam karmani limpanti name karma paleshpriha. So I am not bound by any activities, I am not bound to the results of the activities as well. So if someone is aware of it, Itimam yogi dhyanati karmabir nasabhadyate. Immediately he is freed from all the reactions. Someone thinks that, oh, Krishna is also bound, he is also part of it. Chalo, you are completely caught in the reactions. So now another example Srila Prabhupada is giving here. Okay, let's read this. The Lord being full in himself has no attraction for so-called heavenly happiness. You see, he is not interested in any yagya, that yagya perform. He is not interested in this. The heavenly demigods are only his engaged servants. The proprietor never desires the low-grade happiness such as the workers may desire. He is aloof from the material actions and reactions. For example, the rains are not responsible for different types of vegetation that appear on the earth. Although without such rains there is no possibility of vegetative growth. Such a nice analogy, isn't it? So, everybody expecting the rain, but whatever seed that we have sown, that's what you're going to get. You sow a mango, and then you're not going to get something else. You're going to get a mango tree. So we are responsible for that. Now immediately a quote: Nimitta matram evasau shrujyanam sarva karmani pradhana karani bhuta yato vai shrujya shaktayah. In the material creations, the Lord is only the supreme cause. The immediate cause is material nature by which the cosmic manifestation is made visible. So the Lord, he desires sankalpa matrena. He desires, everything else happens. Everything else is carried out by his energy. So he is not part of the three modes, or he does not. So he has this representatives to deal with all those things. So that should be understood. Okay. The Lord only gives them the proper facilities for such activities and the regulations of the modes of nature, but he is never responsible for the past and present activities. So we should not blame the Lord for the actions that we have performed. The living entity is responsible for his own acts. So Srila Prabhupada is concluding that, so a person who is experienced, he knows this, and he does not blame the Lord for it, and he understands, and he is fixed in the service of the Lord, understanding that by engaging in the service of the Lord and by glorifying the Lord's various activities, I become freed from all the reactions of this material world. Yeah, there is also another point, another example that comes to my mind, that we can see sometimes it's very difficult to understand the activity of some of the personalities. That's why we can see now Krishna is going to talk further about the intricacies of karma, akarma and vikarma. We need to know this, otherwise we will be bewildered by some other personality's activities. For example, for those who know, Vamsidas Babaji Maharaj is a great personality, a Paramahamsa devotee. See, when Guru Maharaj was writing this, getting notes for this Bhakti-śāstra Vaibhav, he was doing research, meeting many devotees. So there was Jati Shekhara Prabhu, who had served Vamsidas Babaji Maharaj, and he knew. So there was a point that it was observed that he was smoking. So when Maharaj was having a discussion with one other Gaudiya Math sannyasi, they said, Maharaj, how do you understand that? It is mentioned that I heard that he was smoking. Then he said that no, he never smoked. There was never he smoked. He never did this act. So Jati Shekhar Prabhu also was explaining this point. No, he never smoked. He never smoked at all. So then later, Maharaj said that after that I understood that actually there was a point. Actually, whatever advanced Paramahamsa, great devotees do, they don't do anything for their enjoyment. Absolutely no act for their enjoyment. Whatever that is being very difficult for us to understand. Sometimes the acts of the Paramahamsas, but this is the underlying point. Underlying point is that it is not done. Act is not done for their enjoyment. When an act is not done for their enjoyment, then if it is done simply for the pleasure of the Lord, then there is no question of being bound by the karmic effect. So we need to understand. We also should be careful in trying to comment about great personalities. At the same time, we cannot be blind also. That is also there. So I am just giving this example to know that to explain that the intricacies of what is action, what is not action, has to be understood in proper perspective. Okay, now, so that is the point here, it's being mentioned. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he points out, let all that be, but now you have appeared in a Kshatriya family and daily perform activities obligated to the Kshatriya. It seems you are subsisting as a Kshatriya. But these activities do not contaminate me as they contaminate the jiva, nor do I have desire for results of those actions, such as desire for swarga, being full of my own bliss, because I am the Supreme Lord. The only reason for my doing these actions is to encourage mankind. He who knows this is not bound, but he who does not know it is bound by karma. So we already saw this. The Lord is setting example. He is doing meditation, he is performing various activities. That is just to set example for others. So that's why you see when in the Mahabharata or in this war, he is there playing a role of a Kshatriya. When he was in Vrindavan, he was playing a role of a simple coward boy. He was performing all these activities. So but he is not bound by any of these activities. So that is the point we need to understand. Okay, now text 15. Evam jnatva kritam karma purvair api mumukshubhihi kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvai purvataram kritam. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. So he is now, it is being pointed out, here Sri Baladev Jayabhushana Prabhu is pointing out, knowing this, you also engage in action and not renounce. Now after having heard all these things, now you don't get into inaction, you have to fight, you have to, so you can see, that's why in the beginning I was saying, time to time we can see Krishna is reminding Arjuna that you have to fight. Now all these things I am explaining to you, that what is the proper action. Now with proper knowledge you have to engage in fight. So, so here we can also see in this verse, Krishna is using specific words. Evam jnatva kritam karma purvair, in the past authorities, purvaihi purvataram. So he's so much stressing. You see in the past all great personalities have followed. Purvaihi purvataram. So every one of them in ancient, and again he is stressing, take example from the predecessors. So take example from them and then you perform your duty following in their footsteps. So Srila Prabhupada is pointing out that how Krishna consciousness is beneficial for all the great personalities and also for all people, whether they are materially bound or materially free, it is beneficial for all those peoples. So now he is pointing out, foolish persons or neophytes in Krishna consciousness often want to retire from activities without having knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Arjuna's desire to retire from activities on the battlefield was not approved by the Lord. One need only know how to act. To retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness and to sit aloof from making a show of Krishna consciousness is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. So we are actually Goshtiyanandis. We don't want to be Bhajananandis. Of course, that is also there. But our mood is that not instead of going and then sitting in one remote forest in Vrindavan and then chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, rather we let us, for our being Prabhupada Anugas, what we need to do is to be right there in the street, in some street, in any city, go and then try to save the conditioned souls, thinking of Krishna, chanting the holy names, at the same time trying to save. That is in our situation, this is the best thing to be done. And in that way we will make progress. So here Krishna is pointing out to Arjuna that now don't retire and take up sannyas, rather you fight with proper knowledge. So Prabhupada concludes the purport. The Supreme Lord knows all his past activities as well as those of persons who acted in Krishna consciousness in the past. Therefore he recommends the acts of the Sun God who learned his art from the Lord some millions of years before. All such students of Lord Krishna are mentioned here as past liberated persons engaged in the discharge of duties allotted by Krishna. So immediately he is pointing out, you may say, see these are all great personalities, but you see they all have set examples, they all did their duties. So you also, Arjuna, take up this duty and then fight. Okay, there is a quote by Prabhupada. Continue. Now we are entering another section of the series of verses. Now after having discussed the Krishna himself is speaking about how he, by his birth, by his activities are transcendental, and also now just 2 verses back Krishna is explaining that if namam karmani limpanti, one should know about my activities, they are not bound by I am not bound by the material nature, I am not bound by the effects of the material nature. Krishna having explained this, now he is in detail he is going to explain about what is karma, what is akarma and what is vikarma. That needs to be understood. So what is karma? what are the effects of karmic activity, and what are those actions by which we will never get any reaction, and what is sinful, prohibited activity, one has to understand. And also Krishna is going to explain what is inaction in action. So by performing some action, how it becomes inaction. So how to understand that. So because that is required, right, for Arjuna. He is going to be in action, he is going to fight. Your fighting is going to become inaction. You are not going to be bound by your fighting. So that Krishna is going to further establish in the upcoming verses. Okay, text 16. So, kim karma kim akarmeti kavayo pyatra mohitaha tatte karma pravakshyami yajñatva mokshase shubhad. Even the intelligent or bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. Now you see, Krishna he himself is explaining. Someone else could have also explained. But why he himself is explaining about this karma, akarma and vikarma? Any thoughts? The answer is right there in this verse itself. It's there. I will just read the translation again. You can get a guess. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. The point is that Kavayo Patra Mohitaha, great, we can call him Kavi, they are very pandits, but they are bewildered sometimes. What to do, what not to do. In this situation, what to do. How to perform act. Is it dharma? Is it adharma? Will I get reaction? Is it proper in this situation? Sometimes it's bewildering. So that's why you can see it's called dharma sankata. We hear this word. Sometimes very difficult in particular situation whether to go front or go back. Immediately we call someone and ask, Prabhuji, what do you do? I am in this situation. I am in I've gone my relative's marriage, and it's all karmi cooking. What do I do? So we take some fruits, take some milk, offer it, manage somehow. He's trying to give some advice. So in that situation, we are bewildered. We know what to do. So many situations arise. Always in this situation, how do we take a decision? What to do? That's why we have guru. That's why we have sadhus. That's why we have shastra. We need guidance. And then it's a very complicated thing. How to act, how not to act, what kind of reactions we get. So that's why if you think that you can practice Krishna consciousness all alone, it's very difficult. It's not so easy. You may be completely in illusion and thinking that what I'm doing is perfect, but when we just come in touch with devotees, oh, you're doing like this, oh, that's wrong, that's not proper. Immediately we hear when we come in touch with devotees, and we hear from a spiritual master what should be done, what should not be done. So this is important. So that's why Krishna himself is explaining this, because karma is a very complex subject matter, not easy to understand. Okay, let's continue. So now Srila Prabhupada is pointing out, that's why he is pointing out that take the shelter of bona fide devotees. You have to take shelter of authorities. If you don't take shelter of authorities who are coming in disciplic succession, we may end up performing some sinful activity. We may perform a wrong activity and we may face the reactions for that. So Srila Prabhupada is pointing out, therefore one has to follow in the footsteps of previous authorities in the line of disciplic succession. Otherwise, even the most intelligent men will be bewildered regarding the standard actions of Krishna consciousness. So we discussed this before also. Why, how to act, what to act, who will help us? Because very difficult situation of understanding what is dharma. Actually, the principles of religion can only be laid down by the Lord himself. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. No one can manufacture religious principle by imperfect speculation. So we follow in the footsteps of Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlada, Bhishma, Shukadeva Goswami, Yamaraja, Janaka and Bali Maharaja. I am reading out these names. Just by reading these names we get purified. This is such all great Mahajanas, great personalities. Therefore, out of costless mercy to his devotees, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is and what inaction is. So in every situation we can see the guidance of the great personalities are there. So that is why Yudhishthira gave such a profound answer. Nasho Risiriyasya Matim Nabhinnam Dharmam se Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam Mahajano Yenagata Sapantaha. In their hearts, the real path of Dharma is hidden. So better take shelter of them and follow the principles. So that's why here Krishna is setting the standards that one has to take shelter of this process of dharma. by hearing from bona fide authorities. Otherwise, we may mess up, we may end up. That's why we have to hear. That's why Krishna also in the 7th chapter, you see, he gives a very important instruction in the 7th chapter. First verse, Tatshulo, he's saying, hear, don't speculate, don't do something on your own. Your life will become a big mess. Better you hear from the Lord and His pure representatives. Then you will know how to act. Otherwise, our mind will get attached to something which is asat. So that's why Prahlad Maharaj is very much stressing this verse when he is speaking to Hiranyakashipu. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. If we do not know our real gati is Vishnu, then what happens? Durashaye e bahirarthamanina. Then we will take shelter in all other external things and we will mess up with our life. So important for us to hear from Krishna and His bona fide representatives. Okay, let's go to the next verse. So now, when here Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu is posing a question that, how about, you just said that even the Kavayo are bewildered, so how do I understand? So here, in this context, this verse is spoken. Karmano yapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha adhar akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. So here Krishna is explaining that we should know what is karma, what is akarma, and what is vikarma. We should be aware of this. So karma means we are performing some activity based on the scriptural injunctions. So it's performing some activity in a dharmic way, or it could be an activity expecting some results, it could be some fruitive activity, but authorized, not that you do it in a sinful way, but you do it in an authorized way. So that is karma. And then what is akarma? Akarma is that action by which you don't get any reaction. By karmic activity, you will get reaction. We know, for every action there is a reaction. So whatever small move we make, there is going to be some reaction. But in Krishna consciousness, when we act for the pleasure of the Lord, any small action we do, there is absolutely no reaction. So then, vikarma, what is unauthorized action? That also we should know. Vikarma is sinful activity. Whatever that is mentioned in the scriptures, that becomes Shastra Vidhi. If you follow according to the Shastra Vidhi, then you are safe. In that there are different levels. There are different levels of dharma. So when you go against the scriptures, you do an act which is prohibited in the scriptures, that becomes vikarma, that becomes sinful activity. That is why Rishabhadev is so much stressing, Nunam pramakta kurute vikarma, yadindriya prite apranoti. You have heard that, oh, this is wrong, we should not engage in this act. But still, because of madness, simply to satisfy your tongue, belly and genitals, you just go and perform some act. And you become implicated in sinful reactions. So so we need to understand from the Bhagavad Gita what are the proper actions and what are the actions which will not give us reaction, and what is sinful action, what is prohibited action. We need to be aware of this. If we do not know, we will mess up. To understand Krishna consciousness and action according to its modes, one has to learn one's relationship with the Supreme. One who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. Any other conclusions against this consciousness and its attendant actions are vikarmas, or prohibited actions. So that has to be understood properly. Otherwise, we may thoroughly misunderstand something. Sometimes some people, they don't understand. They say that, oh, okay, now you see, these fellows, they are doing a big business, book distribution. They see, they are now earning lots and lots of money. Oh, these people have come to collect. They are the great collectors. They will collect money, and then they will, what is this? You have made this Krishna consciousness movement into a commercial business. They can't see, they do not know what is proper action, what action is being done, whether this action is, for what this action is being done, they are not aware of it. And as a result, they even say offensive statements. They don't have clear picture of what is proper action, and what is, they cannot understand. But sometimes we see, they say that, oh, so much is this person is being pushing to give books, or sometimes even devotees beginning, the beginning they may misunderstand, saying like, Prabhuji, no, this person is going a little bit too much, he's pushing heavily and then he's giving books. Actually it happened, we heard, that by hook or crook you can distribute books, Prabhupada also said that, hook or crook, somehow or other you distribute books. But this also should be understood in proper context. The idea is that we give the book to somehow or other benefit the person, somehow or other he has to get benefit. So I heard this, that early days, that when they were distributing books, one lady came in and asked, she was interested to know about something, about some function of some machines, how these particular tools work, machines work. So the devotee was distributing book, he was expecting that from the Bhagavad Gita you get answers for all the questions. He said like that. Then he said, okay, so I want to know how this machine works, how the functionality happens. So yes, you get answer. He gave the book and he took the book. So then actually his intention was somehow or other, although he is interested, he may get to read this and then he may have other higher inquiries. He will altogether forget what he went, actually for what he went for. So that is the intention. But so in that sense, actually it's not wrong. But at the same time, we should be careful enough not to fry people out, not to in the name of by hook or crook, not to cheat people. That is also there. But we should understand the higher purpose. So sometimes people cannot understand what we are doing. We are doing a great activity of trying to save the lives of the people. So not to misunderstand this, and then in the name of book distribution, try to too much go far-fetched. That's not proper. So better to set good example as devotees. So, but that's the point. If you do not understand what is the real purpose of life, what is really beneficial for people, then it will be a mess. So we will have more discussions on this tomorrow, and I'll stop here. It's already time, and we will discuss more. What is inaction? What is action? We understand from proper perspective. It is not so confusing. It's not some word jugglery that Krishna is speaking. Karma, akarma in karma, akarma in akarma. We can understand simply if we understand all these definitions. Krishna is benefiting us. So sorry, I took a little extra time. We will stop here. If some of you have some questions, some clarifications, please post it on the group. We will get back to it. Thank you very much. Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare